I think global merchants have, two large overarching challenges to tackle nowadays. One being the requirement for enhanced agility, flexibility. If you think, complex payment processes, a plethora of payment methods, aside from cards, right? The world would be so easy if there would only be two different card schemes. But of course, we have local wallets, we have global wallets, we have local instant payment rails, direct debit rails. So it's a very fragmented and very alive landscape, especially in APAC, where cards play a role, but obviously alternative payment methods play a much bigger role in terms of market share. Then if you look at, the customer experience, which is, classic checkout process, payment process is, traditionally an operational driven process, but now it needs to be customer friendly, seamless, in a good design, easy to handle. So all these challenges you have. And then at the end of the day, of course, data and reconciliation, which is always a challenge for treasurers. With various e-commerce shops globally, you have different data streams, you have Excel sheets, CSV files that all need to, be put into one bucket and made sense of, i.e. properly reconciled. So I think that is a challenge that agility has to come into play. But I think even more critical is the need for multidisciplinary teams. And what I mean by that is that if you look at it today, Treasury, for example, they're stretched into, a new world of technological solutions to accept payments for collections, right? At the same time, if you look at the sales team, that has now, is now stretched into the e-commerce challenge, away from classic channels. If you look at the technology teams of merchants, they have to get used to working with, external technology providers, and get used to that as well. And then finally, even product teams who are now challenged with, commercialization issues. If you think of IoT or automotive, customer life cycle, and the like. So there's a lot of challenges that come to all of those different departments. And I think the challenge is, or the goal has to be that all of these, they create task force to align and synchronize for the best customer experience and, the most sufficient payment acceptance and collection model for that particular use case. Merchant solutions, especially in APAC, with 14 countries and 14 currencies, 13 regulators, has always, right from the start, we had a very, very determined mindset towards partnerships. And we look into three different kind of partners to answer that local challenge that you just mentioned. One, obviously, technology specialists. One good example that is also public is our partnership with the Australian Paytech Data Mesh, who we use across APAC in our merchant solutions proposition, and who also DB invested a stake into earlier this year. Those are technology providers who are just more nimble, who have the agility that only a fintech can have and a large bank has challenges with. But at the same time, we look into regional or country specialists, the ones, who have the ears and the nose on the ground, who know what's happening, what, not just from a regulatory point of view, but also from a payment method landscape point of view. That's number two. And number three, then obviously is payment instrument specialists, which are, fintechs who concentrate or focus on special instruments, for example, QR code, local or global. So those are the three broad areas of partnerships that we're looking into. And yes, we're constantly monitoring the space. It's, as I said before, the team is highly tech savvy and very keen on the subject matter. And I think it's very important to keep an eye on this. At the same time, the value proposition cannot just be having partnerships, right? The value proposition has to be creating an end-to-end solution that is very simple for our clients to connect to, and then almost invisibly enable, a very specific wallet in a very specific country somewhere in APAC, without the difficulties to connect, without the difficulties of reconciliation of the different payment methods. That's the value proposition that we bring to the table all across APAC.